The ZK383, a close quarter beast or medium long range focused SMG for the medic class, all really dependent on how you kit it out. New and improved after update 4.4, it is now even better and arguably, in certain situations, the clearly best weapon available. For those who just want a quick rundown, the ZK383 is both one of the best medium long-range focused SMGs and close-quarter SMGs available in Battlefield 5, offering low recoil and excellent accuracy for those longer ranges, or with an alternative specialization build, excellent hipfire performance, manageable recoil and good fire rates for the close-quarter situations. It's easily one of the most versatile weapons in the game in terms of configuration options and provides the medic class with effectively two different but extremely competitive weapons in their respective subclasses amongst the SMGs. For those who want a little more detail, in today's weapon review, we're going to be talking about the stats of the ZK383, the specializations available and that I would recommend for the different builds, how it compares to the competition such as the Tommy gun or MP34, and lastly, of course, how to get the most out of this weapon when using it on the battlefield. But starting off with the stats as we always do, the maximum damage of the ZK383 sits at the usual 25 and the minimum damage at 13.2, giving it of course up until and including 10 meters a 4-shot kill, between 11 and 30 meters a 5-shot kill, between 31 and 50 meters a 6-shot kill, between 51 and 75 meters a 7-shot kill, and from 76 meters onwards a relatively poor 8-shot kill performance. Its fire rate is extremely low for the SMG class of weaponry, actually amongst the lowest available at 514 rounds per minute. On the other hand, its magazine size is relatively good and standard at 30 shots available, and the reload times are relatively competitive as well, with a short reload at 2.1 seconds, that's with one or more bullets left in your chamber, and a long reload at 2.96 seconds, that definitely is noticeably longer but isn't going to get you killed too often. Then with the vertical recoil now being improved since the last update at 0.40 with an additional 0.02 for each consecutively fired automatic shot, the weapon doesn't exactly have a large amount of vertical recoil, and in addition to that, it doesn't have a large amount of horizontal recoil with 0.085 to the left and right respectively. The spread values are exactly what you would expect from an unupgraded SMG, with 0.15 degrees of minimum spread while standing still and aiming down sight, 0.3 for doing the same while moving, and a minimum hipfire spread at 1.2 while hipfiring and moving simultaneously. In terms of the specializations available, your first choice is between the light and stock, giving you 60% faster moving while ADS, or barrel bedding, giving you improved accuracy while stationary. Then on your second choice, if you go down the left hand side, you will have quick aim, giving you 33% faster ADS times, followed by the light bolt, giving the weapon an increase to its fire rate all the way up to 720 rounds per minute. Alternatively, if you go down the right hand side, the custom stock will give you improved accuracy while moving, followed by the extended magazine, upping that magazine capacity to 40 rounds, and then your final choice is between quick reload for 15% faster reload times or high velocity bullets, taking the muzzle velocity of this weapon up by 10%. Now, in terms of which of those builds are necessarily the right ones to go, it really depends on whether you want the ZK383 to be a close quarter focused weapon competitive to some of the best weapons in the game, such as the Tommy gun or Swarmy, or if you want it to be a more medium long range focused SMG focused on accuracy, low recoil, and of course thus a lower fire rate. The first of those two builds, the close quarter aggressive build, will likely see you go for either the light and stock or barrel bedding. In my opinion here, the light and stock is however clearly the better choice, followed by of course quick aim and the light bolt for the increased fire rate, and at the end a quick reload is likely your best bet as well. If you go for the more flexible medium long range build, arguably I'd still go for the light and stock just because it is a better upgrade versus the barrel bedding, and strafing while shooting is something you are going to do with this weapon even if you're using it at more medium long ranges. After that, obviously you're not going to go down the left hand side, instead the right hand side, going for the custom stock for improved accuracy while moving, the extended magazine for that 40 round magazine, and ultimately for the high velocity bullets, making it just that little bit easier to hit those longer range moving targets. In terms of then the comparative performance to some of the best competition out there, the recent update 4.4 really shook things up, and thus the ZK383 isn't really in any way inferior to the Tommy like it used to be. For a matter of fact, in many ways, it's a superior weapon, which is not something that used to be the actual case. If you compare the two in the most competitive sense possible, that is the ZK383 with the previously mentioned close quarter focus build, and the Tommy without the fire rate increase but more of a close quarter medium range build and the large magazine, you end up with the same vertical recoil between the two weapons, at least on base initial value, a slight advantage for the ZK383 in terms of horizontal recoil. It should be noted, however, it is a relatively small advantage, a small reload advantage for the ZK383 in terms of reload times, and significantly better muzzle velocity, with the ZK383 coming in without the muzzle velocity upgrade at 495 meters per second versus the 330 available to the Tommy gun. The same actually applies for bullet drop, with the ZK383 having significantly better drop for those more medium range targets. What that means is, alongside the bipod that is available to the ZK383 as well, that ultimately the only difference or advantage that the Tommy gun has over this weapon is both the ADS standing while moving accuracy, which is slightly better on the Tommy's build thanks to a couple of specialization choices, and a slightly larger magazine size. That doesn't necessarily, however, make it a better weapon for 2, even 3 targets, and the ZK383, while being excellent at close quarter, offers a tiny bit more in terms of flexibility for medium range target, thanks to not only the slightly lower recoil, but also the better muzzle velocity and the availability of a bipod for holding down positions. Now, the Tommy gun is now a far more attractive weapon in its higher fire rate build, which previously wasn't so popular with that weapon, and that is essentially down to the fact that that build has no difference in recoil, more or less, to the default Tommy at 720 rounds per minute, but that of course is a topic for a different video. So the ZK383, not only a competitive choice versus the Tommy gun, but actually in certain ways even a better choice. Now, if you're not looking for another close quarter focused SMG, the ZK383 also comes in as competition to some of the more accurate SMGs, such as the MP34. And in many ways there, it's actually a better choice. It has significantly lower vertical recoil with its 0.4 versus 0.5 of the MP34. It has again a slightly lower reload time, slightly more bullets in the mag, the 40 versus the 32 available on the MP34's extended magazine, and a bipod on top of that. Alternatively though, the MP35 does have the same maximum recoil as it does initial recoil, which means that actually it's a significantly more consistent weapon in terms of how it shoots, and once you learn to control the slightly increased vertical recoil, it will actually be an easier weapon to consistently keep on target. Also, the MP34 in its ideal focused build for this kind of situation is a little bit more accuracy while moving still, whereas the ZK3 is more of the weapon for the man who likes to move back and forth. But again, there's one more disadvantage to mention for the ZK383, and that is that the MP34 actually has a minimum bullet to kill of 7 instead of 8, making it the better long-range focused weapon of the two, but only really long range, because in terms of the more medium range performance where you're going to strafe and shoot, and where you're still going to comfortably be within the 7-shot kill range of the ZK383, that is actually the more attractive choice. The larger magazine, the shorter reload time, and the lower recoil, alongside the flexibility that a bipod gives you for certain defensive situations, mean that once again the ZK383 is an excellent choice of weaponry, which is of course surprising given that we are talking about the same weapon performing just with slightly different specialization builds in two very different classes of weaponry, and arguably keeping up, if not even beating, the competition. But that leaves of course the question how to use this weapon best, and when it comes to the close quarter mania build, that's exactly how you're going to play the weapon. The same you play the Tommy gun or any of the other close quarter focused SMGs, lots of hipfire whenever possible, hip firing down enemies, ADS only when necessary. But for that ADS at those more medium range distances, it's definitely a viable choice thanks to the relatively controllable horizontal and vertical recoil. Bursting can help with that recoil a little bit as well, and I'd also recommend that you move while shooting with the SMGs in general, whenever you're shooting both in ADS or hipfire, unless you're truly going way beyond the ideal engagement distance and need every bit of accuracy you possibly can have. This is again where the advantage of having a bipod can come into play, and if you set up in a window ledge, you will find the ZK383 performing, in terms of its recoil, even on its close quarter build, a lot closer to what you would expect from something like an MP40 or EMP. Then if you go for the more long-range build, that is long-range in terms of what to expect from an SMG, you still should be shooting while moving at the same time. It's what makes the SMGs even competitive at those more medium ranges. Also, try to stick to the more medium ranges. While you do have an excellent close-quarter build, and with a bit of hipfire will be out-damaging all but the SMGs, you will come across plenty of SMGs and shotguns in close quarters that will be able to out-damage you both in terms of hipfire and ADS, despite your excellent hipfire accuracy, and despite the fact that this weapon is overall still very competitive in close quarters. Overall, it's not really a particularly difficult to use weapon, so most people should not find it too difficult to make it work. What really sticks out for me is that this weapon is both competitive in close quarters and long ranges in terms of the SMG engagement distances, which makes it very much unique amongst the SMGs available to the medic in Battlefield 5. But I'd love to hear your opinion on the ZK383, so leave your experiences with the weapon alongside your usual video suggestions down below in the comments or hit me up with them over on Twitter. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next Battlefield 5 video.